Donald is desperately trying to ramp up ICE raids and arrest and deport countless immigrants, but it is not going to plan. This week, we have seen ICE agents, Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem, and of course, Donald failing miserably because, as it turns out, you run into roadblocks when trying to detain and disappear people without due process. One major failure took place in Chicago, a city where Donald has been threatening to send the National Guard in to quote unquote tackle crime, just like he allegedly did in DC. He did not do that in DC. When it comes to taking on those breaking the law, however, the Trump regime should probably look inward because ICE shot and killed a Chicago resident over the weekend. Villegas Gonzalez, a 38-year-old immigrant from Mexico, his family described as a devoted father, cherished friend, and kind soul, was the victim of ICE's violence. Here's CBS News with more on the story.
Surveillance video shows two ICE agents conducting a vehicle stop. The agents surround the silver car. The driver reverses the vehicle. The officer on the passenger side can be seen pointing his weapon as the driver attempts to flee the scene. As the car drives away, the agent on the driver's side can no longer be seen in this video. In a different surveillance video, two gunshots can be heard as the vehicle drives away. In a statement, DHS said the driver, Silverio Villegas Gonzalez, struck one of the officers and dragged them as he drove away. That officer then fired his weapon, hitting Villegas Gonzalez. Social media video shows Villegas Gonzalez laying on the ground bleeding.
All right, so the ICE agents claim that Gonzalez dragged officers with his car, and in the video, the view of the agent in question is obstructed. So thank goodness we have body cams, right? Wrong. Conveniently enough, officers at the scene were not wearing body cams at all. How lucky for them. They shot and killed a man and have an excuse, but they lack any proof to back up their claims. Democrats are calling for transparency in this quite suspicious case, and Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker called for ICE to turn over any pictures or video from the fatal shooting at a press event Monday, noting that there was a lack of information about the incident. Pritzker said, quote, "This is the most unusual situation I've seen in my entire lifetime, where we have no transparency and the federal government is not policing itself," unquote. There is literally no reason to trust anybody associated with the Trump regime at this point, from the individual ICE agents to the actual president of the United States of America, because they now know they can lie and commit crimes with impunity, just as Donald Trump has been doing his entire life, all in the name of eliminating immigrants in this country. But before we go on, we need to call out the abuses of power the Trump regime is engaging in. So please like and share this video. And if you believe in our mission, please subscribe to our channel. Because apparently enough damage hasn't been inflicted on communities in the Chicago area, Kristi Noem decided to join the raids this week. In her classic cosplaying fashion, the visit was full of photo ops and failures because she's Kristi Noem and she's a puppy murderer who sucks at everything. It turns out that Noem and ICE rounded up American citizens in their raids. Because, who's even keeping track anymore? In the incident in question, ICE arrested 5 people, 2 of whom were United States citizens. That means that almost half of the arrests made here were wrongful, which is kind of a staggering number that shows just how ineffective ICE is, despite how massively overfunded it is. The raids and incompetence shook Chicago's suburban community. As people were taken out of their homes in the dark with no justification, residents quickly began to speak out against ICE and the aforementioned puppy murderer. Here's CBS Chicago with footage from the raids and an impassioned message from local residents.
That Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem is in the Chicago area. This raid video posted by Noem earlier today showing people being taken into ICE custody. Now, this comes as we are learning about increased ICE activity in DuPage County. Community leaders telling us dozens of people were detained in West Chicago yesterday, with arrests happening at a grocery store and outside of an apartment complex. Video posted to a West Chicago Facebook group shows federal immigration agents pulling a driver from a car. Agents arrested another man on the sidewalk. Neighbors are concerned about parents being targeted during school pickup and drop-off.
My message is to the kids of West Chicago There are a lot of grown-ups out here trying to protect you, and we will do what we have to do to keep you safe and to keep your parents safe because you are beloved in this community.
District 33 issued what it called a secure and teach protocol. Classes continue to go on as planned, but exterior doors remain locked because of ICE activities nearby.
Okay, so our schools are on lockdown, not because of criminals rampaging through an American city, but because of ICE agents. Let's be very clear about that. Something else we need to be very clear about. This is not about apprehending criminals. This is not about ridding the country of the horror of undocumented workers who basically helped this country succeed. This is about going after brown people, whether they're American citizens or not, whether they are criminals or not. This is about instilling fear into our communities. And it is time for allies like that woman to speak up more consistently and more loudly. Because right now, allies cannot sit on the sidelines. They need to make the case that this is horrific. This is not just un-American, it is anti-American. Chicago, of course, is not the only place where ICE incompetence and cruelty is on full display. When it comes to the Trump regime's deportation machine, ICE is tasked with locating and detaining immigrants. And then the burden about what to do with those most likely illegally detained immigrants is passed on to the Department of Justice, which is charged with charging and deporting them. As it turns out, the prosecutors in charge of these deportations are also failing. As ICE and federal agents have rushed to make arrests in Washington, D.C., for example, in order to bolster Donald's hostile takeover of the American Capitol, many cases are being thrown out. More than 50 people have faced federal charges in D.C. since Donald's emergency law and order surge began last month, an order that is complete bullshit, by the way. But already prosecutors have dropped at least 11 of those cases, which is an unusually high rate. This week, U.S. Magistrate Judge Matthew Sharbaugh dismissed 2 more felony assault cases because Jeanine Pirro, U.S. Attorney for D.C., can't keep a case together. The judge also took the chance to deliver a blunt warning from the bench, questioning whether prosecutors are making charging decisions before cases are properly investigated and vetted. The judge wrote, quote, "That's not the way it's supposed to work, and it has real-world consequences. This is becoming a real concern for the court, just given the sheer numbers," unquote. Not just judges are calling out these bad faith prosecutions. So far, grand juries have refused to return indictments at least 8 times in 6 separate cases, which AP reports is an extraordinarily rare rebuke that underscores skepticism about the strength of the evidence being used to bring charges. Why would they think they need to have strong cases? These people are trying to push through as many weak cases as possible to make their point, and in the hopes that some of them get through. In the meantime, people like Pirro, who's unqualified, not because she doesn't have the requisite expertise, but because her expertise doesn't matter anymore. She is a sycophant who will do anything she can to push through the Trump regime's agenda, are wasting time, money, and resources. The time, money, and resources of the American people. And they cannot stop fucking it up in the meantime. Please take a second and like and share this video. It'd be awesome if you could subscribe to the channel. If you're listening to us in podcast form, please follow us and give the show a 5-star rating because it really does help other people find our content. Thanks.